According to the website of the French broadcaster Radio France International, the wife of the president of Congo, that is Antoinette Denis Sassou Nguesso, did not show up yesterday as stipulated in the subpoena that your chamber issued to her when she was here two weeks ago at the Howard University Hospital. What is going to happen now?
Okay. Yes, that's correct. We had a court reporter here at my office along with the videographer, and we were prepared to take her deposition and receive the documents we had requested, and she did not show up. Mm-hmm. Our next step now, since we have not heard from her or any attorneys representing her, is to file what's called a motion to compel with the court, seeking a court order from the federal court in Washington, ordering her to comply with the subpoena.
Okay. Now, there are some people who say, what do you make of people who think that Antoinette Sassou Nguesso, she is the wife of the president of the Congo, but administratively she represents nothing. Hence, that is the reason why she decided to ignore the subpoena.
Well, we are permitted to subpoena anyone that's physically within the United States who we believe has information about Congolese assets. And we believe that she may have information about where Congolese assets are located. And that was the thrust of our inquiry, because we had previously asked the Congo directly for this information, and they refused to provide it in the court, even after being ordered by the court to provide it. Mm-hmm. And so we are left with having to seek information from other persons. So in our view, this would not have been necessary had the Congo actually supplied the information when we requested it last year.
Okay. Now, in this case, what is really going to happen? Because I think this is the second time I'm asking the same question, because the court case, from what I understand, has been dragging on for too long. And now what is going to happen?
Okay. Well, we are going to continue our efforts to locate Congolese assets in the United States and elsewhere. We have Commerce Impact is represented by other law firms in France and in other jurisdictions who are also pursuing the same thing, which is to locate any available Congolese assets to satisfy these judgments, and then use legal processes to attach them and have them turned over to Commerce Impact. And we recognize this may take some time. It's been going on for years, and it may go on for several more years, but we will continue our efforts to find these assets and get them turned over.
Okay, before I proceed to my next following question, what I wanted to ask was this: how long has this case been dragging on between Hojeij and the government of Congo?
The entire dispute dates back to the late 1980s or early 1990s, and Mr. Hojeij attempted to settle these issues. He had invested a lot of money in the Congo and attempted to settle these issues, and thought he had come to agreements on that. But the Congo reneged on its agreements, and so he eventually went to an arbitration that concluded in the early 2000s. Subsequent to that, there was another agreement by which the Congo was supposed to reimburse the money that had been invested. And the Congo breached that agreement as well. And so there was a second arbitration, which concluded in, I want to say 2013 or 2012. I may have the date wrong. That went from 2000. That was filed, I think, originally in 2009 or 2010. And so we got an award on that, also holding the Congo liable, and they refused to comply with that arbitration order. Both of these were issued in France, and the Congo fully participated in both arbitrations, so they were able to raise all their defenses at that time.
Okay, you said at some point that White and Case, that is a legal firm, and other firms, law firms in the United Kingdom and in France, are trying to look at all what the Congolese government has as assets, then perhaps seize the assets. Now, do you have the names of some people in power that you are targeting? Do you have some names?
We have some names, but I would not reveal that right now until we were able to file the process against particular assets, because we wouldn't want the assets to be moved while we were working on it. But some of the names that we think are relevant were listed in that subpoena that we sent to that we served on the wife of the president, because we have reports from the news and other investigations that these people may have knowledge or may have actual Congolese assets under their names in accounts or elsewhere. And so we're still at the stage where we're trying to determine where these are, but we have not publicly targeted any one person yet, and we would we're careful about that because we're lawyers.
Okay.
And we want to. Our goal is not to. Our goal is to collect on these judgments. Our goal is not to embarrass anybody in particular or do a story, but we have our job to do, and in this case that involves finding this information, which may be interesting to other people for other reasons.
Which may be interesting for other people and for other reasons. And are you aware that Denis Sassou Nguesso, as of 2012, had 29 children? And which means that if you are going to be focusing on the 29 children, it's just like a camel passing through the eyes of a needle.
Well, we are aware. I wasn't aware of the exact number, but I knew that there were many people involved, and some of them are we believe are located in the United States. And as far as what we're looking at here, we would be interested in whether there are any actual Congolese assets under the names of individuals located in the United States.
Okay. And now the other question is, while we understand that you are lawyers, you will not want to maybe accuse somebody or expose anybody or make any stories on any of the 29 children of the President of the Republic of Congo and all others who are running the country with him. But have you already found out or some kind of established list of properties in the United States, in France, in Canada, or elsewhere in the world that you are eyeing already?
Yeah, we have. We have identified some properties in the U.S. that I'm not at liberty to reveal right now. As we make filings in courts, though, that information will become public. Our French colleagues had previously identified a number of accounts and actually did recover a small amount of money from some of these bank accounts in France, and we are sort of continuing those efforts. But as this is not something that we would reveal until we actually make the filings going after the properties.
Okay. Now, another question I would like to ask you is, what is the real amount that the Congolese government owes your client?
It is approximately $1 billion. I would have to go back and calculate it because there are interest calculations that go on top of the judgments. And since the judgments were in several different currencies, including euros, there's a question of what date you convert those on. So it's a math question.
Okay.
But it's approximately $1 billion right now if you include both of the judgments.
Approximately $1 billion. Now, the other question is, this case was formerly in France, and it appears, correct me if I'm wrong, that when the French government was about to cancel the debt of Congo, it seemed as if it was to be put into one basket and settled once and for all. Why is it that at a certain point in time, they decided to dissociate the depth of your client and what the French government was owing the what the Congolese government was owing the French government?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Because I was not involved in what the French government was doing. I honestly don't know.
All right, but put it another way around. Do you suspect somewhere at some point that the French government was a little bit maybe conciliatory toward Brazzaville?
I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. I'd like to know that information, but I don't have any knowledge on that.
Okay, but now I know you are a lawyer. You will not like to speak, but we know I'm a journalist. But I have some names that I would like to ask you whether you have something to do with them. Is it true that your firm is targeting people like Willie Etoka, Denis Christel Sassou Nguesso, Claudia Sassou Nguesso, and Bruno Itua?
I think those names are some of the names that we identified in the subpoena, but sitting here right now, I would have to go back and look at all of our papers. I don't have them in front of me.
Good. And as a lawyer, to conclude our interview, do you think that your client is willing to maybe negotiate with the Congolese government, given that the Congolese government is currently in crisis, like most commodity-based economies around the world? Is your client ready to negotiate, or he wants that his money, the $1 billion+ should be paid in bulk?
He has tried to negotiate this for many, many years. I can't speak to what his state of mind is right now, but in the past he's been very willing to try to come to some kind of arrangement. And I believe he is, but I can't make an affirmative statement. But